Hey guys, hope you're doing well. It's Mr. Irwin back with today's math lesson. You see it on your screen. Today we are talking about independent and dependent variables. So grab a notebook, grab a sheet of paper, work along with me. Here we go. Independent and dependent variables. We are going to start talking about scenarios that feature relationships between two different numbers, or what we call quantities. With those two quantities, one of them will be the independent variable and the other will be the dependent variable. So the first thing I want to do, go over some definitions so you know what we're looking for here. First off, the independent variable. In the relationship, the independent variable is the quantity that affects the other value. In math, you'll hear it called a lot of times the input value. Essentially, it's what can be changed. What does the person in the scenario have control over, or what decision can they make? The other value then is the dependent variable, and just like its name, it is dependent upon the independent variable. We cannot calculate or figure out the value of the dependent variable until we know the independent variable. The dependent variable is the outcome. It depends on the independent variable. It is the output of a function. It's the result of the situation, and it is affected by the other variable, the independent variable. Take a look at this scenario. At a farmer's market, apples are sold in bags of 8. So when I'm identifying what is the independent and dependent variable of a scenario, the first thing I want to do is look for the two quantities. Look at the two values in the scenario that can be represented by a number. In this case, apples can be represented by a number, and bags purchased can be represented by a number. So both of those, or each of those, is one of the variables in the scenario. So right now, we want to identify the independent and dependent variable of the scenario. Apples are sold in bags of 8. So if I'm looking for the independent variable, I'm looking for what do I have control of? Can I choose how many apples to buy, or can I choose how many bags to put in my cart? Because apples only come in bags of 8, I don't have control over the number of apples that I am purchasing. I can't purchase just 3 apples because I need to get a multiple of 8. The decision I can make, however, is how many bags I choose to purchase. So the independent variable is the number of bags in this scenario. The dependent variable then is the number of apples. The number of apples I get to take home is dependent on how many bags I purchase. So bags is independent, apples is dependent. All right, our next example. For every chore Samuel completes, he earns $3. Find the total T earned after completing C chores. So we have our variables here, C representing how many chores he completes, and T representing the total amount of money earned for completing those chores. So ask yourself, does the amount of money he earns depend on how many chores he completes, or does the number of chores he completes depend on how much money he earns? Well, the money, we don't know how much money he's going to earn until we know how many chores he's completed. So excuse me, T, the total money earned, is the dependent variable. And then the independent variable will be C, the chores completed. The amount of money Samuel earns depends on how many chores he completes. Samuel chooses or gets to decide how many chores he completes. That's why it's independent. And then based on that information, the outcome would be how much money he earns. All right, our next example. Susan burns 9 calories during each minute she rides her bike. So the first thing you should do, identify the two quantities here. So we have calories can be measured by a number, and minutes of exercise measured by a number. So what's the outcome here? Does the number of minutes she exercises depend on how many calories she burns, or is the number of calories that she burns dependent on the number of minutes she exercises? Dependent variable, the outcome is calories burned. Susan does not control how many calories she burns. She will not know how many calories she burns until the number of minutes of exercise is determined. So the minutes is the independent variable, calories the dependent variable. Next, Josh reads 18 pages of his book every day. Identify the two quantities. What two values can be measured by a number here? Well, we have pages of a book can be measured by a number, and total days reading can be measured by a number. Well, no matter what, Josh is going to read 18 pages every day. So, does he have control over how many days he reads or how many pages he reads? Another way to think about it, what is the outcome? Number of days read or pages read? Do the number of pages depend on how many days have gone by, or do the number of days that go by depend on how many pages he has read? In this case, pages is dependent on days. The number of pages Josh reads will depend on how many days have gone by. All right, here's one for you to try on your own. At Sweet Frogs, the weight of a customer's frozen yogurt is used to calculate the price. Pause the video, identify the two quantities, and tell me which one is independent and which one is dependent. When you're done, resume play on the video and check your work to see how you did. All right, hopefully you took enough time to identify the independent and dependent variable of this scenario. First off, the two quantities here, the values that can be measured by a number, are the weight of the customer's yogurt and the price. Is the weight of the yogurt dependent on the price, or is the price dependent on the yogurt? How much the dessert costs will depend on how much it weighs. So the dependent variable is price, and the independent variable is weight. The customer will choose how many toppings to put on their yogurt, so they will determine the weight. Once the weight is determined, we can calculate the outcome, the price for that yogurt. All right, I have one last scenario for you to try on your own. A plant grows 2 inches every week. Take a moment, identify the quantities, determine which one is independent and which one is dependent, and then begin playing the video again to check your work to see how you did. Okay, here we go. Our quantities. We have number of weeks that go by and how many inches tall the plant is. The outcome here, inches of growth. The inches that a plant grows will depend on how many weeks have gone by. All right, boys and girls, there is an independent practice assignment on independent and dependent variables. Please complete that work, take a picture of it, and upload that image file for submission. See you guys next time.